Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Fireside Chat on July 30th, 2024. My name is Cynthia Romanowski. I am the Bibliographic Services Manager here at SWAN, and I will be your MC for today. So first up, we have our agenda. So this is what we're going to be covering today in the Fireside Chat. So without further ado, Ian, you're up.
Hi, everybody. This is Ian Nosek. I'm the IT and Systems Support Manager here at SWAN. Just want to do a quick recap of the 4.1 upgrade, which did occur successfully, and we've been live on 4.1 as of July 18th. If you have not yet upgraded your clients, please download and install that as soon as possible. Thank you, Scott. There is a link to the download in the chat. Essentially, if you have not yet upgraded, you will see some messages about like the client mismatch when you first launch it. Also, any new features in 4.1 will simply be unavailable until the client is upgraded. The one caveat we've noticed, and forgive me, Cynthia, I'm going to completely forget what the issue was, but there was a cataloging issue with the old client against the new server, depending upon what you're doing, may cause some issues. So again, install the client now as soon as you're able. Open a support ticket if you have any difficulties with the client. And essentially, just to kind of recap, what happened, the first attempt that we tried to do this installation was actually a month to the day almost. We were initially supposed to go live on June 18th. And during the overnight installation process, Cersei Dynix's installer was on the system, and it had been a while since we had received an update, so we were kind of checking in. And essentially, the script that runs to do the installation just kind of became unresponsive at some point. And we decided to give it a little extra time, but ultimately the decision was made around 4 a.m. to abort the upgrade, and we restored the system from the pre-install backup. Excuse me, and we were back online on 3.7.1 right around 6 a.m. I do want to call out specifically both Aaron Sievers and Michael Zarmak for jumping on and being involved for both the initial upgrade and the upgrade that occurred July. So thank you very much for being available as we were going through the process. Essentially, when Cersei Dynix came back, they took their script in for internal review. They didn't specifically say what changed other than they made some refinements to improve the general reliability and efficiency of the installation script. We then scheduled a test server upgrade, which occurred on July 11th. That went very smoothly, no major unforeseen issues. So at that point, we immediately went to schedule the upgrade. So again, that upgrade occurred the evening of July 17th, and we were live on 4.1 as of July 18th. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but if you have not done so already, please download and install the new client. Next slide, please. And then one other thing I wanted to mention, I know this is something we've always kind of alluded to, but I'm not sure that we've specifically said this is sort of the maintenance window, but you'll often hear of us discussing the maintenance window or the overnight reports, things like that. And as you can kind of see at the bottom of the slide, there's a list of reports. These all have to run nightly to kind of update the databases, check find free, reset tracking, expire holds, et cetera. So there's a whole slew of things that occur overnight, typically between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. We don't go into this schedule very often, but when we're doing maintenance or, we've had to do rebuilds in the past, we'll be doing another rebuild coming up over Labor Day weekend. Anytime we need to run one of these specialty rebuild reports, we need to go into the schedule and essentially suspend some of this regularly scheduled reports, to ensure that we have sufficient space to run what we need to run. More often than not, when we go to look at the schedule, there are reports scheduled within sort of that midnight to 4 a.m. window. And in the past, we've tried to be very like, okay, we'll suspend it and then try to fit it in somewhere else. But as we've sort of become a little more tight in the overnight window with some of the work that we've been having to do, it's just sort of, it becomes untenable to kind of keep an eye on everybody else's reports. So this is sort of us officially stating, please refrain from scheduling any reports during the overnight hours. You're free to schedule it for 4 a.m. Up until 10:59 p.m. or whatever. And obviously the report schedule is just when something's scheduled. For instance, you'll see all of our reports are kind of stacked up against each other, and essentially they only run one at a time. So the first report has to finish before the subsequent reports can run. So that's why, the start times are often hours away from where they were actually scheduled to begin, which just makes it a little trickier. So uh, basically, as we continue to do kind of some overnight maintenance, we're not necessarily going to be policing this, because unless we actively need to change something with our overnight schedule, it generally runs itself. But if we do system upgrades, and I think this became a little more apparent when we had to do, this twice in the span of a month. Essentially, as we are suspending reports in preparation for work that we're going to be doing on the system, any reports that are non-system level reports will simply be removed from the queue. And that's also not something we'll typically notify the library on, because again, we have so much going on that it's just a matter of if you have, and typically it's a collection report or oh my God, my brain stopped running. Those X12 reports, we see those a lot during the overnight hours. And just rest assured that if you schedule it at 4 a.m., there's a very good chance that it will be ready for you before you start your day at 8 or 9 anyway. So for what it's worth, that's just kind of us just saying, like, let's try to keep that overnight window clean, so that we can, ensure that our necessary reports are running and not being delayed because other reports have kind of been snuck in there. And I think that's all I have. But again, if there's any questions regarding any of this, please don't hesitate to send in a support case, and somebody from the support team will get back to you. Thanks.
Ian, I believe you were thinking of the new item category that will give an error message because it's not available in
Item cat 6.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. I
You
knew I
are
had
right.
it in there somewhere. Thanks, Cynthia.
No problem. Michael, I believe this one is you.
It is. I was just unmuting myself. Good morning, everyone. I just want to do a quick recap for our hold map update that occurred last week. We talked about this at our last Fireside. Just give you a heads up that it would be coming up. We had originally scheduled this for July 16th, but because that was just a day before the Symphony upgrade, we decided to push that back into a week later, which is now a week since. That was last week. So just to recap what this was, we had a little loophole in the hold queue for patrons who wanted to place holds on their own library's material. But the issue was if they were at another library, the hold wouldn't go through. So this little tweak, this little fix was put in place to help with that circumvention. So patrons who maybe wanted to place a hold on one of your new book items could place it from another library's catalog and would not be blocked. We also took this time to kind of do a little part 2. We noticed that some of our hold rules for some of the new 19 libraries weren't following the SWAN standard. So we took this time as well just to update those hold lines. Basically what those were for the few libraries that were affected by that. We're using an old standard that Link and Magic used that limited to just a single line for blocking patrons, and it wasn't entirely effective. Over the years, as people have questioned this, we would update those lines for those libraries, but we still had some lingering that weren't updated. So we took the liberty after the initial fix for this loophole that we did announce to also update those. Some libraries did report a little couple gotchas here and there. I'm sorry about that. We did update those. holds didn't work right afterwards, but we got those going and we made those updates. So hopefully all is well back in hold map land. But if you notice any issues, of course, just open a ticket and we'll be happy to help you with that and correct that. We did have a hold map, a news post about this. I'll just drop that in the chat. It was warning about the upcoming hold map update, which is now coming past though. But yeah, if you have any questions, like I said, let us know. This link just has a little bit more detail exactly what we did for the initial change.
Aaron or Scott?
Hi, everyone. This is Aaron. I just wanted to just say that the SWAN Expo full session descriptions and the schedule is been posted. Please take a look at that. There's some really great sessions that we have, not just with SWAN staff, although the SWAN staff make up the majority of them. This year, we've really brought in a lot more outside speakers. So there are some topics there that I really think you should take a look at. Some of these are about records retention in libraries. We're having someone from the state archives come out. I'm sure that's something that maybe directors or managers may be interested in attending. Just for example, we also have HR Source presenting about creating like a crisis plan or policies for your library. That is something that we've heard from you all that is a topic of interest. So we're just going to where our libraries are at. On top of this, we're also making sure that we continue roundtables. This is where we have you all have discussions around certain topics. Some of these include this year, mindfulness and self-care, the staff development and team building, what you're doing in your library for maybe your staff retreat, or just what you practice internally for your staff development, and also talking through difficult service scenarios. Again, we'll also be presenting, a lot of great information about Aspen, mobile staff, doing some Blue Cloud analytics, hands-on demos. And then we'll also be talking about like collection management using Blue Cloud analytics. So there's some panel discussions as well. I really hope you register, join. It's very inexpensive. It's affordable, $35. All you have to do is register, or you can register your colleagues. We're seeing a lot of libraries signing up in the last few weeks. We just are now in the home stretch. Our registration is going to close on the 16th of August. So just a few more weeks. Hope to see you there.
Hey everyone, for our Aspen update this week, unfortunately, it's a little bit of bad news. You may recall, we announced at a previous Fireside, we were looking at turning on a new facet option that would allow us to have all of our libraries listed, so you could filter in your catalog to other SWAN libraries. Unfortunately, when we did this, it caused some performance issues that I think just did not present themselves in other smaller library districts and consortia. So unfortunately, because of those dramatic performance impacts, we're not currently able to turn that all libraries facet on in Aspen. So in the meantime, we've got some strategies you can use here, which I'll cover in a second, but I do want to let you know we're looking at hopefully enabling this sometime in the future if there's some more performance improvements that will allow that to happen. But it does seem like it's enough of a ways out. For now, we should kind of shelve that idea and look at some of these alternatives. So for you as library staff and for patrons, there's a couple things you can do. So number one, we can't recommend enough. There is a library filter in the main SWAN catalog. We are able to turn it on just for that main consortium catalog. So if you're ever, just want to see the holdings for a particular SWAN library that's nearby, you could always pop over to the main consortium catalog and be able to filter to other libraries that way. Besides just going to, obviously, any of our SWAN libraries, you could go to their individual catalogs. The main thing that I think is going to be most helpful for staff and patrons, especially if you're looking at a specific title, if you just pop open that "Where is it" link, it's on every record, just below the location and call number information. And that will pop up with the screen that you see on the number 2 screenshot there. That's going to show the availability at all the libraries. You'll see a nice clear checkbox next to every library that has a copy of that title on shelf. So we definitely recommend that for seeing the holdings at our other libraries is probably the easiest way. And then you can also, if you want to go to another library's catalog, and we're really specifically thinking here of that scenario at the service desk where maybe you've done the search for titles on a particular topic and you've got all these filters in the catalog for nonfiction and a format of audiobook and all that good stuff, subject facets, and you want to preserve those and not have to start all over again. There's a nice little secret trick. You can just swap out your catalog. So here we were showing that the URL for the River Forest catalog RFS, if they wanted to say, what, Oak Park's really close by, we could send this patron there, see what else is at Oak Park. They could pop in OPS into that little 3-letter code in the URL. That would preserve all of your searches and filters. And you could see that same search in another library's catalog. So there are a few ways that you can filter by library without having that library, all libraries facet. So we hope those little tips will be helpful. And again, we'll keep seeing what options there may be to add that facet in the future.
Hey everyone, this is Olivia. Going to be talking about a couple of updates for electronic resources. The first one being Canopy. Right now, there is an ongoing discount for all subscribing SWAN member libraries. So that is if you're current and if you're thinking of subscribing to Canopy, there is a discount. So right now, the current discount is 10%, but we are about one library away from hitting 15%. And that is a library of any size at this point. We are so close to it. So if you have been on the fence and you're thinking about Canopy, I highly suggest to reach out either to us here at SWAN or directly to Debbie McDonald over at Overdrive. And we can go to the next slide, which is also a pinball and Canopy event that's going on. So there are some events going on. So September 5th through 8th is the Professional and Amateur Pinball Association World Pinball Championship, and that's going to be nearby in Schaumburg, Illinois. So there is a link there for registration and more information. But during this time, Canopy is doing their big movie watch, and that is going to be a movie called Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game. So when Canopy has these big movie watches, which they host twice a year, they will make the movie that they have chosen available to all subscribing Canopy libraries. So regardless of the type of subscription you have, every library will get these movies that are part of this big movie watch event. And those movies include the public performance rights. So you're able to host the movie, like a movie night, and feature those films. So that is something that Canopy hosts twice a year. And this one is it happens to be right around the corner in September, and it's nearby in Illinois. So just wanted to highlight that for you all. And another thing that we're working on is, of course, expanding our side loads. This slide looks very familiar. We talked about it at last month's Fireside, but we have added a new vendor, Press Reader. So this came out of I believe it was our Aspen users meeting, and everyone was a little curious about Press Reader, and we have been able to get those MARC records. So if you are interested, if you are a Press Reader subscribing library and you are interested in adding those MARC records into your Aspen catalog, open up a ticket with us here at SWAN, and we will get those added for you.
Olivia, I think you may be muted.
Can anybody hear me?
There you are. We hear you
Yes.
now.
Okay, I apologize. My internet connection is unstable. So I might be dropping in and out. Sorry. So the EBSCO flagship package, this is just sort of recapping. We're about a month in for that. In case you have not received your new links or you want to take a look at those, that's just the link there where those links are available. And just a reminder that some URLs were sent separately, but they should have arrived by now. So if you chose Learn with Novelist, Lip-Based, or Financial Fit, and you have not received your URLs, please open a ticket with us at help@swanlibraries.net. And of course, our next slide has to deal with the statewide database links. So within the last week or so, I believe these links are making their rounds. They are normally coming from the state library, but if you have not received yours yet or down the list, you can get those links at our on our support site right there. And this is just a reminder that these statewide database links are separate from the flagship package or any pay package that you currently have with EBSCO. So these links are provided by the state library at no additional cost. There is still no announcement from the state library. So while the links are ready, they're just asking that you don't advertise that they're provided by the state at this time. They're planning on making an announcement soon. I just don't know when.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to do another PSA. Remember to set up your ILO audits with me. I've done 9 so far. Each one runs about an hour, give or take, and we'll just make your WorldShare interlibrary loan experience a little bit more efficient for you, for your patrons, and for any prospective borrowers.
Crystal, I believe you're up.
Hi, everyone. This month we had a circulation advisory group meeting and we talked over a few things. One being the mentorship program that Circ Advisory has going on for new circulation managers. We have concluded the first year of mentors. And we went over some of the feedback from the questionnaire that both mentors and mentees have given. And we went over that and made some tweaks to the internal processes of matching up those mentors and mentees. We also talked a little bit about going over the courses on our online learning management system and kind of are giving each of those members some homework and when it comes to taking those courses and giving some feedback so that we can improve those scenarios within those courses. We did talk a little bit about, we did actually an activity about just some difficult scenarios. This was our working session. So we used mural boards and we kind of went over some ideas of kind of when you've had an interesting situation or a difficult situation at the circulation desk when 1 + 1 wasn't equaling 2, and they've had to do some digging into either a patient record or an item record, using different helpers and different glossaries and kind of seeing what the outcome was and how they went and solved those. Just as to just give us a better idea of which glossaries and which helpers are frequently used and helpful. So we did talk about that. And the last thing that we also talked about is the upcoming election for Circ Advisory. There are 4 seats that are opening up for self-nominations this fall. And there will be more about that announcement later, at a later date, when all of the self-nomination opens and all of that. So that was what we covered at Circ Advisory this month.
Thank you. At Cataloging Advisory this month, we basically covered topics that we started discussion in the in-person cataloging library meeting back in May. So basically just talking about how we're going to handle some volume and book series numbers with fiction materials so that there's a lot more consistency in Aspen as far as series and numbering is concerned. On the cataloging end, we're discussing the responsibilities and expectations of what it means to be a cataloging library and what our cataloging library team, as I would like to call us, is expecting from each other, so that it's very clear that, hey, when we come across these records, this is what we're supposed to be doing or checking for, or when we're cataloging, this is kind of what we're supposed to be doing, so that everybody is on the same page. Some of that is the travel guide series too, because it can get a little confusing to patrons. So we're trying to kind of standardize some ways that we do things, because we're 19 libraries. Thank you for River Grove coming on board as a cataloging library. So we're 19 libraries trying to help 100 libraries. So we want to kind of get things a little more standardized so that it also makes it easier for us to discuss with Aspen what's going on with the catalog when things aren't displaying the way that we would like them to display. The more that we can get our cataloging standardized, the better.
And we also had e-resource advisory in June, so just about a month ago. Some things that we went over during that meeting. It was a little bit of a smaller meeting. That summer meeting usually is. But we, of course, just always review our goals and topics for the year. An ongoing topic for discussion has been our troubleshooting documentation and kind of working on widening that and just having more topics available for review for library staff at our SWAN libraries. And we also reviewed the process and just sort of how we're thinking of approaching group discounts and possible consortium purchases. And we talked a little bit about the Callus project and of course Hulu Flex for the consortium, which has been an ongoing conversation for quite some time. And I expect that it will be for the next year or so.
This is actually an old slide. This was, we had ILO users month before last, but I do want to remind everybody that their next meeting is October 2nd, so please come join us there.
Hi everyone, this is Scott. Just a reminder that we have this Zoom consultation signups still moving. We've had a good amount of them so far this year. It is a new sort of addition to our offerings in place of last year's office hours. But we did add a new one. I wanted to remind folks about Blue Cloud. Actually, I'm going to say we added 2 about Blue Cloud Analytics. You can get on our calendars to talk about that platform in general. We also have sort of a special sign-up consultation for acquisitions and serials related issues, topics within Blue Cloud acquisitions. Blue Cloud Analytics. That is in large part because the subject matter experts in our organization are sort of split. So we're just going to make sure that there's 2 links, so you make sure you get to the right people depending on what your topics are. And this is where you can find the path to the booking consultations up at the top of our support site, meetings and trainings. you hover over that, it'll open up this menu, and then book a consultation is right there in the right column under trainings. And this is for Helen.
Sorry, I was muted in 2 places. We did want to let you guys know that we did clarify a little bit of our bill reason glossary, just to kind of create, just to emphasize the distinction between lost bills, long overdue bills, and when they happen, how they're reconciled. Yeah, so just take a look at the bill reason glossary. And if you have any questions about bill reasons, you can open up a support ticket, and those will probably all come find me. Be happy to give you all the ins and outs of that. And if you're truly confused, you can set up a consultation with me. Just open up a support ticket and I can make that happen too.
All right, it's back to me. So we have very few meetings in August for partly because good reason. We have our SWAN Expo. So we want to encourage everybody to attend, and that is again on Friday, August 23rd. But we also have an ILL quarterly billing office hours on the 15th and our next fireside chat on the 27th. And we do have an announcement. Some of you may already know, but SWAN had to say goodbye to Claudia Nixon. She had been at SWAN for 10 years and moved to be the government documents cataloging librarian at the Library of Congress. So definitely no small change. We are very excited for her. Like again, she has been at SWAN for 10 years. And we are going to miss her terribly, but we are in the mix of hiring for her position, and we can't replace her, but hopefully we will be able to find someone, you know, with her awesome skills. So we are very excited for her to be in doing her next chapter in DC. And with that, there is our final slide. So thank you for everyone attending today. We have, like I said, we have our next one August 27th. So with that, is there anything that you all would like to ask us? Questions, discussion? The floor is yours. All right, I'm gonna